Good morning, Maddox Intermediate, and welcome back to this WMIS News on this Tuesday, September 9th. My name is Avery.
And my name is Cadence.
Here are today's announcements. This Thursday, September 11th, wear your red, white, and blue for Patriots Day as we remember all those who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. Theater rehearsals will begin today right after school in the library until 4 p.m. Attention students, we want you here at school every day. Starting today through October 6th, every student who has at least 20 days of a perfect attendance will earn a special reward, a movie night with Mr. Sargent. So make sure you are here every day on time and ready to learn.
Show your Viking spirit with a Jasper Viking bracelet. Bracelets are available in the office for $2. You can purchase one in the glass office. Tech Team forms are now available. Tech Team is a competition group which competes against other schools using technology projects. If you are interested, take a form from your teacher or Mr. Phillips. Fill out the back page with your project idea. These can be turned into Mr. Phillips or your teacher in the morning. Ideas are due this Friday, September 12th. There will be an informational meeting about Camp McDowell for 5th grade students and parents today at 5 p.m. in the library. If you are interested in going to camp, make sure you attend. Deposits for camp are due ASAP.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Celebrating a birthday today is Kenyana Lynn and 4th grade teacher Miss Lawson. Happy birthday!
Let's check and see what the lunchroom is cooking up today.
On the menu today is Crispitos, pinto beans, corn muffin, fruit, and a brownie.
It is now time for Quote to Know. In this segment, we will hear powerful words and stories behind them from some pretty special guests. Today we have Mr. Easterwood sharing one of his favorite quotes from President Harry Truman.
Good morning, Maddox. Today we start a new program here on WMIS, and we like to call it Quote to Note. Now, if you noticed last week, we started showing YouTube videos of a young man and some famous quotes, and he would explain what they meant. Well, Miss Lightsey and I got to thinking, we can do that here ourselves. We don't have to just show videos, and maybe some of our teachers would be willing to help us out. So teachers, this is a call for you. If you would like to help us do a quote to note, then we can video it here in the TV room, or you can video it in your room on your phone and send it to us. But we would love to get more people involved and not just us here in the TV studio. Now, I wanted to cover a quote that's a very famous quote. It's from one of our former presidents. His name was Harry Truman. And through the magic of television, you can see Mr. Truman here. Now, Mr. Truman was president at the end of World War II, way back when Mr. Sargent was doing his student teaching. And President Truman had a very famous saying, and it was, "The buck stops here." Perhaps you've heard that from your parents or something, or maybe a grandparent. Well, I'm here today to explain exactly what that means. It was so important to old Harry that he had a picture of it, or he had an actual sign on his desk at the White House in the Oval Office. Well, here's what it means. Way back in the day, this comes from a card game called poker. And some of you may have heard of poker. Maybe your parents play it. But poker was a very popular card game at the time. Now, to play poker, you had to have a dealer. And the dealer has to deal everybody cards. And maybe 5-card draw, could be 7-card, ever what brand of poker you're playing. And the dealer will pass around the different cards. Now, if you're just playing a friendly game at home, the way they would signify who the dealer was to be to take a knife and place by the dealer when he was dealing. Now, dealing is a very important job in poker, and it carries more responsibility. So if it was your turn to deal, the knife would come to you. Now, the knife was called a buck knife because very often back during those days, knives were made from the handle, from the antlers of a buck deer. And you can see this is a picture of one where we have an actual buck handle knife. And so they started shortening the name to just Buck. And there's even a knife company now called the Buck Company, and they make buck knives. Imagine that. But if you were the dealer, you would have the knife, and it would be on the table beside you. If you wanted the responsibility, the buck would stop here. It would stop with you. Now, if you didn't want that responsibility, and several people didn't, they would deal the knife to somebody else. That's called passing the buck. So if you didn't like the responsibility, you'd pass the buck on to somebody else. Now, here's why that's important. A lot of people didn't like responsibility, didn't want the responsibility of being the dealer. Harry Truman knew this. That's why he had that as a saying. He knew as president, he couldn't pass the buck. He had to do all the figuring himself. He had to answer the hard questions. That's what he meant when he said the buck stops here. The responsibility stops with me. And so Harry Truman had a very important decision to make near the end of World War II. He had to decide whether or not to drop the atomic bomb on Japan. He knew that dropping the atomic bomb would kill thousands of people, and indeed it killed, we think, about 200,000 people. But he also knew that if he did not drop the bomb and America had to invade the island of Japan, many more people would be killed, both American and Japanese. It was estimated that at least 1 million people would be killed if we had to invade Japan. At least 1 million, and probably on upwards of 2 million. So it's not an easy decision he had to make, but he made it anyway because he knew that being president, he had to make that decision. That's why he liked the saying, the buck stops here. His decision ended the war, which saved millions of lives. Now, how does that apply to us today? Well, do you pass the buck, or does the buck stop with you? Does the responsibility of things, do you accept responsibility when you make a mistake? Do you accept the responsibility when you do your homework or when you study for a test? Or do you pass the buck? If things don't go well, do you pass the buck? Do you blame it on a friend? Do you blame it on your teacher? We're hoping that you will let the buck stop with you. And that is our quote to note today. And once again, teachers, we are hopeful that you'll be willing to do one of these for us. It doesn't have to be this long. It can be much shorter. Just come up with a quote, look them up, and just let us know. You can email me, you can text me, or Miss Lightsey, and just let us know, because we would love to have you involved. And I'll send it back now to our anchors.
Thank you, Mr. Easterwood. That was some great advice to think about. Now let's check out our pet of the day. Today's pet of the day is Camo. Camo belongs to 6th grader Kalel Hoover. Kalel tells us that Camo is an outside cat, but he loves to be let inside the house. However, he likes for the door to stay cracked so that he can open the door and let himself back outside. Hey Kalel, do you think this is because he wants to stay camouflaged? Thanks for sharing Camo with us. Now let's see what's happening in sports.
In football action this week, the Jasper Vikings travel to Coleman to take on the rival Bearcats this Friday night. The Vikings haven't beat the Bearcats in several years. They will have to continue to play hard in order to change that. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Everybody come out and support the Vikings. The Auburn Tigers will host South Alabama this Saturday. Kickoff will be at 11:45 a.m. The game can be seen on the SEC network. Alabama will host Wisconsin Saturday Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium in another early game. Kickoff will be at 11 a.m. The game can be seen on ABC. That's today's sports. Now let's check in on today's weather.
We awoke today to a preview of fall. Don't get too used to it yet, however. We will begin to warm up by the end of the week. The weather forecast for Jasper is mostly sunny. The high today will be 85. The low tonight will be 65. The high tomorrow will be 87. That wraps up today's weather.
It is now time for the moment of silence. Well, this is Avery.
And this is Cadence.
Thanks for joining us today. Tune in next time for more WMIS news. Have a great day.